the evil of Frankenstein.
You are interrupting my work.
Your work, the work of the devil.
Now we're going to take a look at Evil of Frankenstein. It's the third movie in the franchise. Kind of unusual for a lot of different things, but of course, because it's part of the Hammer franchise, it's a must-see for any horror fan. I myself have probably watched it 5 or 6 times this week, so I've been able to spot a lot of weaknesses and a lot of things I really like about the movie. I don't know why it took 5 years. I looked trying to find out why it took them 5 or 6 years to redo another movie after the previous one, because the first 2 were actually successes. But this movie itself was written by Don Elder, which is a pen name for Anthony Hines, the actual producer, and it was directed by Freddie Francis. It breaks completely with the first 2 movies. It's got a lot of great action in it, and the one thing that I really think stood out was how physically active Cushing was throughout the movie. And Beth, I guess you've seen it.
Yeah, the thing is, I just imagine he was athletic because he was 50 when he did it. But the reason they probably broke away, and this is just conjecture, by the way, if you take a look between 58 and when they made this film, they were doing their best to branch off. They did The Mummy, they did The Night Creatures, they did The Wolfman. I mean, it's not like Cameron wasn't making movies. They just weren't making franchise films because they were trying to get other franchises started. My bet is it was the money that brought him back. And also what probably brought him back is that they changed their sponsor because they always had to have an American partner to make sure it sold in America. And Universal picked them up for this film and wanted them go back to their classics. And they also gave them free let to actually do it more Universal-like. Because in the first 2 films, they had to be very cautious as to not stepping over that copyright. But since Universal owned that copyright,
Especially the monster design.
right, they wanted them to harken back to their old days.
With Jack Pierce makeup.
And as far as the director, you said the director was he's interesting. The director was Freddie Francis. Yeah, Freddie Francis was known more for being a cinematographer than a director. He was actually a cinematographer and director of photography on Elephant Man, which is ironic because the next film Brooks films made after Elephant Man was The Doctors and the Devils, which he directed. And as much as I hate to say it, I think it was his problem that the movie wasn't so big because it was a great script and it was some great acting, but it just had some timing issues. And you've already mentioned, of course, John Elder, Anthony Hines, who produced all of them and actually wrote a lot of the later Hammer films, but they were never as good as Jimmy Sanctus. But he's also, for the record, Anthony Hines is the son of the founder of Hammer. By the way, Terence Fisher was supposed to direct this, but he had a car accident before the movie, so they had to bring Francis in.
And that cost him there are a lot of movies he fell out of because he wasn't able to direct.
And it's not his first accident. Apparently he had a series of accidents that left him out of the loop at times, which you can tell. That's probably pretty much it for a quick introduction.
Because of the structure of the film, I had an issue with it because I thought the first part, which really had very little to do with the film ultimately, was much better than when we get the backstory about the monster. I edited it. So this is actually the whole first sequence in a nutshell. Because I really like the way that they covered a lot of territory, introduced a lot of issues and character. And little details like that when you saw the shoes, the guy's feet being rolled around because the other guy is grabbing the body, right?
And they left behind was a crucifix.
Yeah, you noticed that too.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was kind of a harken back to the other 2 films where there's more spirituality in that film than in these films, because this is the only time you've seen it. Leaving God behind.
Oh no. I agree with you. I introduced quite a bit just in that little segment right there.
Yeah, well, this whole leading into, I even kept part of the credits Because I love the way that they did the credits in such a way that it was included a continuance of the story. Which you have the body snatcher bringing him the body. They're in a lab of some sort.
Yeah, he's relegated to jumping out in a windmill or a mill sometime.
Correct.
Why not? He has no further use for it.
And then while they're showing the operation that he's removing the heart, we have the credits over that. So it keeps you in the action.
So you know who's responsible.
Right.
So this is the mission. Stop!
Yeah, and they introduced a protagonist or an antagonist, but this is only for this part of the story.
Right, he's gone after
Yeah,
this.
but
You are interrupting my work.
it kind of shows he's already like in a impoverished state. Now this last is all he's got, and they're destroying it.
Uh-oh, and he just pissed off the doctor.
Now, here's the thing,
Yeah.
too, is
It's the first of many times that
You'll be back.
Christopher Lee
With help.
Peter Cushing jumps into action.
Destroy it.
You'll have to get away, sir. Now.
They always destroy everything.
He says this several times during the movie. They won't leave him alone.
okay. Now, the thing I found interesting about those scenes, by the way, the old Frankenstein from the first two films would have just killed the priest and used his body. He wouldn't have let himself be pulled off it. So he's a nicer, kinder fellow. Do you see
He
how?
would have gotten mad.
Yeah,
He would have done something intellectual,
and the priest would have been walking in somebody else's body.
something thought out and something tactical.
The thing with him cutting the heart out, apparently they said on set if he played Frankenstein, he always wanted doctors to make sure he looked like he was doing it correctly. The next scene would be, and it is interesting how they set this up. They let you know right off the bat he's in bad shape.
Now he's like destitute.
Yeah, he explains that in a big exposition dump. What happens next is he decides that he's got to get out of there. So he and Hans, his assistant, hightail it back, and they end up going back to Karlstad. Well, is that where it began, or was that from Curse of Frankenstein, or
Well,
was
it's
that
the second film? But let's face it, they're doing a total reboot here. So they just grabbed the name Karlstad.
The way they do this completely breaks with the first two movies.
And that causes a little bit of confusion if you're looking for continuity.
And imagine somebody who's been waiting 6-7 years to watch the third installment going, wait a minute.
It's definitely a kick in the groin to the movie, though. It hurts the franchise.
Well,
It does get a lot of hate. It ranked lowest of all the films in both Metacritic
The Frankenstein franchise, yeah.
and Tomatoes, with the exception of the Ralph Bates one. We can talk about that when Ralph.
when it
Or
comes.
Frankenstein.
Well, yeah,
So then he hightails it back to Karlstad. He ends up going back to his castle. And he ends up actually recapping or telling the backstory of what happened before. And this is where you see the diversion from the almost everything about the other two movies. The monster, the methods he used to resurrect the creature. And as Beth pointed out, I did not know this, but it explains a lot. With Universal being their new partner, you see that Universal influence, and that, in my opinion, in this sequence, hurts the movie.
Especially the makeup, yeah.
Yeah.
Square-headed monster.
If you're just walking in for the first time, you don't know anything, okay, maybe But then if you walk in and you are a fan of the original two Frankensteins, very different films, very different everything, and then you see this backstory, you get thrown.
And before you see the backstory, I want to make one more comment. The monster was played by a man called Kiwi Kingston. He was a professional wrestler, and this is only one of 3 films he ever made, so he realized it wasn't for him. Big dude.
Okay.
I mean, he was a perfect choice physically for the monster. And honestly, if the makeup had not been so comical, it might have worked better.
Yeah, I'm like, this is the whole backstory, but I cut it down to about 5 minutes, so it's about a third of the length.
Would you like to tell me about it?
What?
About what happened here that night?
And of
Why you
course,
can
he
never
brings
come
out
back
the
to live
booze.
here again.
Yes, I'll tell you, Hans.
Yeah, and this is his old mansion, and the whole thing's been gutted.
There was a storm that night. A storm
But
such
it's
as I'd
not
never
in the
seen
village.
before. It
Right.
had been building up for some days, and at last it had broken.
And this was one of
There
those
in the
frustrating
heavens was all the
moments
energy
because I love
I'd
the
ever
way the
hoped for,
camera
could ever
started
dream of.
drifting.
There for the taking. All I had to
And
do
I
was
thought it
ask.
would have been an interesting choice for the camera to just kind of drift down into the dilapidated basement while he's talking. And I thought that would have been an interesting choice, but it didn't follow through.
I think the budget was like 160,000 pounds.
That
Maybe
could
there were
be.
just limits to what they could do.
Could be.
Because you see, he spent a lot of time on the bells and whistles, all the electric setup that they didn't have in the first 2 films.
Yeah, and again, the lab compared to what you saw in the other two, a lot more universal-ish.
It's like he's supposed to figure out his phone stuck up. I was kind of disturbed by that story.
Yeah. Well, again, this was a weird sequence where it's like he's letting the monster just kind of walk around, and it just doesn't. That just doesn't seem right.
Yes, this was a bad idea.
Well, I was also kind of confused by this scene because he puts a couple of things in front of him, and
How will react to everything?
well, I mean, how he this reflects what happens once he gets a choice, a taste of that wine. But it doesn't make it clear that he actually eats the meat. I mean, okay, whatever that is, oatmeal or something, definitely didn't like it.
Okay, I figured that was a piece of meat.
That's what I thought.
He didn't seem to care for it.
Yeah, I mean that's a little piece of confusion there. But then he goes for the Flintstone ribs.
Well, I think they're trying to imply it in a way that it takes his mind a second to catch up to what he just did.
Could be.
Because he does the same thing later on with the
Brandy.
right.
The dad overslept and Junior got out.
Yeah.
Of course, Huey Kingston was from New Zealand. I imagine he probably had a lot of knowledge about it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we just had to go there.
Get away from me! We've heard what you've been up to, Baron. You're under arrest.
Looks like he was falling before the
shot.
the gunshot, but maybe it was just flash to bang time.
I was arrested and charged with assaulting a police officer and working against God. They ordered me to leave the town and never return. I had no
Which is
money
a whole lot better
walked to the
than
frontier.
getting guillotined.
Oh, that's true.
Now, a couple other thoughts that I had, and I was talking to Tim about this before. It's like I thought there was a lot of problems with the recap, but I also thought one of the big problems was it broke the flow. I sat down and did a little quick editing thing to see what it would be like if you took the recap, put it in the beginning, and then continued the story, and I thought it flowed better.
If this had been told during the wagon trip, I think it would have worked better. What was the next clip?
You demanded that if I pick a clip, it had to be where he got away from the guards.
Let me just say this, and of course I did ask for some of those. If there's one thing about this movie that sticks out, and you'll never see it in any of the other Frankenstein movies, Cushing actually is kind of swashbuckling in here.
He is, and this is a good scene for him.
Just surprisingly physical and very impressive physical stunts.
Yeah, he's a little bit more action oriented, and
what was he like? We figured out he was like 50, 51 during this.
50 when he did this, yeah.
Something like that.
Well, the setup here though too is, and this scene is to me probably the most personable scene in the movie because it is the funniest. Frankenstein comes back and finds out that his castle has been pilfered and cleaned out, and knows that the chief of police and the burgomaster are the two who did it. So now he's coming back to address that issue with the burgomaster.
Coming to bed, my dear?
Yes, yes, my little one. I won't be long.
Almost reminds me of Jeffrey Jones.
Why don't you stop him, Your Honor? What do you do?
I've come for my property, burgomaster.
My ring, for instance. I don't know what you chairs, my desk, my carpet. You... Even my bed. How? My clothes. Convenient for you to be both the same size. You have no right to be in this town, let alone in my house. You have the right to enter my house and take whatever you please. Your property was confiscated. Confiscated? Stolen.
There won't be any need. I thought I recognized you earlier.
Boo hiss.
It's a pleasure, sir. You know,
Corruption.
I'm very sorry you ever came back.
By the way, the burgomaster's wife there, Karen Gardner,
Uh-huh.
she was actually well known as she did a lot of British television.
Okay. That was an interesting moment too that I want to talk about later. See where he kind of glanced at the burgomaster?
Yes. I got on my way, Nancy Boy.
Well, I kind of saw there's something else that gives
Frankenstein!
more to it.
Just so you know, he did get away
Yes.
and
Well, I
survived.
should point out, though, the Frankenstein we saw in the first two movies, he would never have done anything like this.
No, the police would be there before we could reach it.
He wouldn't let his
Again,
anger
this place
control him. He would have like done something
Where are we going?
tactical and strategic.
Up there.
Right, much cold and calculated. But then on the other hand, he would
Up there. The
have
only way up.
no problem killing people too. This Frankenstein has a problem killing people. It's an interesting scene. It sets up the differences because he doesn't try to kill anybody. He just wants what he wants.
Shock. I've just passed the full force of a bolt of lightning through his skull, Hans. Isn't that shock enough? No.
I skipped up that. He brought the monster back, but he's catatonic. This explains how he gets to the hypnotist, who really is more of a bad guy than a Burgermeister when you will think about it.
I need some direct mental shock. Some direct contact with his mind. Hans. That man. At the fair.
At the fair. He's a hypnotist.
How can't you leave me alone? I'm doing the best I can. All right, I'm coming. All right.
Richard Woodthorpe.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You were expecting someone else?
he's interesting because he's actually Hungarian.
They've been plaguing me all day. What's it got to do with you, anyway?
Might have a great deal to do with me.
The other day at the fair, you came up on the stage the day I was run in for not having my license. You're nothing to do with the police, are you?
I am Baron Frankenstein.
You mean in real life he's a Hungarian?
He was born in Budapest
Right.
and was able to escape Hungary in 1956 during the revolution and the subsequent Russian squashing of
I
it.
heard.
Okay.
You've been thrown out. Well, I've been kicked out, too.
And you're going?
You're right, I'm going. I'm not out of here by sundown. I've been done to take charge. That's what his mama the Burgermaster said at the trial.
I've come to offer you a challenge to your professional skill. If you accept, you'll be safe in my house, and welcome.
You want me to hypnotize someone? Is that it?
Exactly.
Who? How long ago? I'm in enough
See,
trouble.
Buck, I think you were talking
A
about
man.
Xander Ellis as Hans. This guy was born in England.
You can meet him now. At the cemetery.
This is old time.
Yeah, Peter Woodthorpe. The biography you just gave would have something to do with Xander Ellis,
Hey, you!
the guy that plays Hans.
There isn't a man born a woman that I can't put under.
This experiment will be very interesting.
And so the hypnotist gets thrown into the mix
Well, I like a mailman born a woman, so this should be interesting.
because he's stealing from Macbeth.
And by the way, I do stand corrected. That was Hans.
Hans is the one who fled from Hungary.
Right.
Yes.
Well, the thing is, except for that, I must say too, and this is going to sound terrible, but almost every actor in here, they're all traditional BBC actors who do a lot of TV and movies.
Right.
None of them anything really big, and none of them
And they
really
have
stuck
no
around to do more
personality
Hammer
that
films.
much.
But they were part of their stables.
And like I say, none of them ever did stuck around to do any Hammer films. But I thought it was interesting to do the show him because Zoltan, I think he's the most evil character in here.
The villagers they're minor inconveniences.
Brad, the Burgermeister is going for himself, but in the long run, he tries to keep some order.
Protect his funny baloney job. Exactly.
Affect his funny baloney job. Zoltan could have done so
Has no
much with
redeeming
his.
qualities.
Yeah, and you don't think he
Right.
has any real abilities, but he does have abilities because that's what the next scene shows. He really can do the crap he says he can do. So if he really could, why doesn't he try to do something better with what he's done? All he does is travel around trying to scam people. Now, I skipped ahead because I can't show all the times he's messing with the creature. So I chose the time where he finally unleashes the murderer in him because he wants to use the creature to steal and rob and then realizes that he really wants revenge on the cops who rousted his butt. And that's why he does this to show you how evil he really is.
Yeah, and just to explain he does end up connecting with the creature on a hypnotic plane,
Right.
I guess you would call it,
Right.
and is able to suggest
takes
to the
control of him.
creature. Yeah.
He takes control of him, and this shows you how much control he has and how evil Zoltan really is.
Listen to me. Listen carefully. There are people in the village I want punished. Do you understand? They are bad men, and they must be punished.
Evil eyes.
You must do it quietly,
Always Hazel.
carefully, and not be seen.
Kind of looks like the guy from The Good and the Bad and the Ugly.
Punish him first. Then find the chief of police. Punish him too.
Look at the bad makeup.
Good. Now go.
Now, she's deaf. We kind of skipped over her character because I'm not quite sure why they kind of added her character.
Well, I think this is like
With she controls him.
one of those undeveloped ideas because it seems like
Well, you get to see how evil he really is because Frankenstein allows her to stay in the house while she's cleaning up because she feels some type of loyalty towards him because she was being chased at the beginning of the movie by
right.
some thugs just because she's deaf mute.
She's a beggar girl.
And they come across and chase the thugs off quite by accident, but she thinks they did it for her. So now she's there trying to be loyal. And he lets her live there and feeds her and lets her clean up.
Well, but the thing...
That's another change to the Frankenstein character.
Yes.
Yeah, that is a change, but also there's noticing that she's also able to reach the monster. It's not so clear now, but it's demonstrated more clearly later in the movie. And unfortunately, her bad decision brings the end.
I'll be able to take my pigs.
Putting on the Ritz.
I'm sorry. I just think that this was so badly done. I had to put it in there.
Well, last time we looked, the bedroom was on the second floor.
Yeah, he had to have climbed up there. That's
Yeah.
what I thought.
Well, he's a monster. If he can pick up a man that easy, he can jump up to the second.
Oh. My God, that was a Georgian era vase or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, that is so badly done because if you're beating somebody against the wall, that head's going to be a lot. And it's almost, and here, it's almost like they're implying he has a connection.
Yes.
That's more than just
Or they get back and forth like that. If that's exactly what
Yeah.
they're implying. I agree.
But the way they banged that head, I thought it was so badly done. But it was still pretty funny because it's your first murder. And this is when all things break loose because he comes in all bloodied. And of course, she's the one trying to patch him up when everything starts going down. Because Frankenstein found out that he was using him to hurt people.
He skipped over the one where Frankenstein gave him an ass beating.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
But you can't show it all.
Bloodied his nose, yeah. And the thing is, that's also when he also, not only did he kill the Burgermeister, but he killed the chief of police.
Yeah, but you don't feel bad for those two because
no, you don't.
Corrupt. It's not as corrupt as this guy. And this guy should have just walked away with his lumps, but he can't help himself because now you know why he can't get anywhere because every time somebody looks at him cross-eyed, he has to have vengeance.
And this is just showing how the beggar girl has a connection with the monster. I mean, he accepts her.
Here. Look up here. Let me in. Open this crate. What are you trying to tell me?
Oh shit.
Oh no.
I like the way he throws her away. That was rough, but he really was doing it to get her out of the.
Yeah.
More action. Go get him, Peter.
Also, I hope somebody in Hammer talked to the makeup department after this movie.
You think they would have talked to them before?
Well,
Actually, they were very proud, and a lot of people were positive about the makeup and the way it echoed the Universal makeup of Jack Pierce. And what you guys are saying, it looks like they just put some painting on there and didn't even smooth it out or try it out.
oh, interesting thought. It's like he got killed. It's like he got killed like a vampire.
You could say that, but he had to die because he was evil too. But that only the murders in town, of course, bring the rest of the police to Baron's castle.
Right.
Where they find the dead body, say he did it. He's trying to tell them, "You fools, that's not what's going on." So of course they take him to jail. Where of course he breaks out because he's smarter than all the cops. And this leads to this, and I had to show the scene where he steals the carriage because this is something you never would have seen in earlier Hammer films. The well, here, I'll get to it and I'll freeze it. The way you can tell, this is obviously a backdrop.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in front of the screen.
Yeah, that was a WTF moment.
Yeah, because in every Hammer film before that, you'll see them riding the other horses going through. You don't see this. Even in later ones, you don't see this.
Yeah, like in Dracula AD 1972, him and Christopher Lee are on the top of the coach and fighting.
Right.
And it's a real coach.
And I wondered if they, after this, they realized that this was a mess up or what. But this is the only time I've ever seen in a Hammer film this kind of bad a green screen effect.
Now check this out, though. Okay, so now they're on the green screen.
Yeah.
Okay. It looked like Peter Cushing, but I'm sure that was the stuntman. But I was still impressed with that.
Yeah.
And he's in pain because of all the things that guy did to his head before he killed him. What the heck?
And if you remember when he woke him up, he'd given him all those shots and stuff, all the painkillers because of his brain damage.
And he tries to hand him. How did I miss that? He tries to hand him a bottle of brandy, and he does with that what he does with the meat earlier. Smashes it, then realizes he liked it. And what happens to every teenager when they get their first taste of alcohol? They get stupid. Yeah, they go berserk.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of curious how good German brandy is.
Good enough.
You also got to realize if it's his first time, he's got low tolerance.
True.
And abysmal table manners.
And I kind of cut this down too because I thought this scene was kind of longer than it should be.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird that we've got the dangers of alcohol introduced into this movie.
Right. So always have.
That's why I said it kind of falls apart in the last 15 minutes. It's like
Right.
they were just trying to figure out how to end it.
So now we know that alcohol is bad.
Get her out of here.
That to me kind of like that kind of signaled the soft side.
And remember, Zoltan. One of the things we cut out here too is that every time Zoltan is talking evil, he's always demanding or drinking a whole lot of brandy.
Yes, and he's sweating actually.
Well, that's so we've got fire,
That-
and we've got alcohol on the floor. We know this is going to end well.
Right. And the doctor is trying to talk him into going to AA.
He doesn't realize that's not alcohol. That's the
Ether.
But the thing is, would that have knocked him out, or did they have to inhale it?
Well, he didn't really probably drink enough, but let's face it, just go with the plot because
They just like dumped gas on the floor, basically.
yeah,
Right.
it wouldn't have not. But now look at all that wasted brandy.
I don't know, but I've never seen brandy fizz like that before.
Yeah, but you never seen brandy electrified either, have you?
No, that's true.
Okay, so he's being done in by his own monster. Get that.
There you go, more swashbuckling.
More manly physical activity by Peter Cushing.
Peter Cushing.
I like to think these two wound up together. Just the way the movie ends. Well, he is a doctor. This kind of looks like an AI picture. Wait for it.
I know.
Okay, now by golly, we would certainly think that anybody who was in there died.
Yeah, but think about the alcohol.
They beat you after all.
Well, and it won't be long, just a few years later, and we've got Frankenstein Created Woman, which is actually my favorite of all the franchise.
But,
Yeah, here's the thing. I like this movie because I'm a Peter Cushing fan and I'm a Hammer horror fan. Does it deserve the hate it gets? Maybe, because there's a lot of issues with it, the way it's put together, the way it doesn't flow, the way it doesn't have any connection with the previous movies. But if you overlook any of all those things and you're just looking for a good movie that's entertaining and has a decent story, I would go with this.
I can understand that. It just, unfortunately, since this is the third of the series, it's hard to avoid the comparisons.
Well, when you set a high bar like the first two movies, you gotta expect a decline somewhere.
There's always going to be the worst one and the best one. Something's got to be the worst. That's this one.
I was frustrated because I don't know if like the original script was longer and they just cut everything down.
It was probably shorter and he added everything to it.
What I read was they were trying to get a Frankenstein TV show off the ground also. So the original idea from this came from someone else, and Hines took that idea and he developed the script. It was actually developed for the show that never got off the ground.
That makes sense because that's actually how Hammer got its big start in the 40s and the 50s. They would take radio scripts and turn them into movies.
So this was almost like an expansion of at least the treatment for a pilot.
Anyway, so that's it. Last thoughts on this film. Like I said, one of the franchise had to be the worst. Although we have not seen Ralph Bates' Frankenstein yet, because that
Really different, and it's weird and funny.
Well, that's actually got a lot of bad reviews too.
Well, just my thoughts on the film is it was a frustrating film. Like I mentioned before, I saw, and maybe this is just again the English major in me, I saw ideas that they threw in that I wish they would have developed, whether or not it was because a script was cut down or because they were throwing it in to help bulk up the script. Either way, they had a lot of stuff they could have pursued a little bit more, like the relationship between the monster and the beggar girl.
Dang, I think they could have played down the backstory and played up her.
And who knows what wound up on the cutting room floor too.
Probably not too much knowing Hammer.
Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and say this is watchable. Thumbs up.
It's watchable. You have to watch it. Just if you're a fan, you have to watch it. You know, if you're given a choice between this and the other films, take the other films.
Will you please get me something to drink?